Chris Haynes, he's a peacemaker. Yahoo Senior NBA Insider, working with NBA on TNT as a sideline reporter and host of Posted Up with Chris Haynes, the podcast. Covered the Blazers' loss to the Clippers. Pacers win over the Lakers on Saturday, and you got the Blazers-Mavs tomorrow on TNT. How's morale inside the bubble, Chris?
Well, I think it's depending on who you talk to, Dan. You know, some teams are, mathematically eliminated, and they're eager to get off campus as soon as that last game concludes. So for them, they're ecstatic.
What kind of gossip you got going on down there? Not just basketball-wise. What are you hearing? What's the word on the street?
Gossip, DP. What you looking for, DP?
I don't know. I'm just, I just kind of curious here. You're a man about town. You got your ear to the ground there.
I do. I do have my ear to the ground. Sometimes my ear goes in places it shouldn't go, DP. But I'll say this, DP. Overall, the guys are doing an unbelievable job with social distancing and staying in their rooms and not bringing any, company in the room. And they're following orders and protocols from what I can see, DP. So I'll leave it at that.
Is there recruiting going on? Do you think a super team emerges from the bubble next year? That one day we'll look back on the bubble and these players will say, yeah, we all got together and that's how we came up with this idea.
I think it's inevitable. I don't know if a super team will be formed from this, but I think it's inevitable that recruiting is going on. And I'm not saying recruiting, I've seen it, but I remember the first few days I was here when I was one of the lone reporters here on campus. And Donovan Mitchell and Kyle Kuzma were walking around together looking for food, and they actually came into the dining area, which I was eating. And I just saw, I just found that fascinating. And, those guys, they're close. I believe the same draft. And I just found it fascinating. But that was just the first time I seen guys intermingling with other guys on other teams. And so, no, I think it's inevitable that there will be recruiting taking place here. Super team, I don't know if super team, but no, for sure. Everybody's congregating. It's bound to happen.
I mentioned that when the Lakers lose, it's headlines. When the Clippers lose, it's not. When the Bucks lose, it's not headline worthy. But with the Lakers, they ended up losing. They've lost a few in a row here. Their offense is supposed to be suspect here. Are there real concerns about the Lakers as they go into the playoffs?
No, I think there's valid concerns. I mean, they're trying to put in incorporate a few more pieces into the fold. They're trying to get Dion Waiters in, J.R. Smith. Obviously they're without Rajon Rondo, and their offense I believe is still last during this bubble right now. And so they were one of the hottest teams before this hiatus. So there's definitely concern going into the playoffs.
But if you start to look at, the Clippers lost last night to the Nets. Now, I don't know if they cared about winning that game. Like, do we ignore that the Clippers lost to the Nets last night?
Nah, because look at what Doc did in that game against the Portland Trailblazers. He sat Paul George. He sat his main guys in the fourth quarter of the game. And so there are people who think that they're trying to make sure LA has a tough out in that first round because they were basically looked like they were trying to give Portland that game. And that's the game that, ended up starting a little verbal feud with Damian Lillard, Paul George, and Patrick Beverley. And Dame missed two free throws towards the end of the game, and they lost. And so Clippers, they're fine with where they're at. And I think for the most part, we understand, how the Clippers do about resting guys and doing the load management. So their losses aren't criticized more so than the Lakers because it's the Lakers and LeBron and those guys. They tend to play every game.
Explain to me this feud with Damian Lillard and Patrick Beverley and Paul George.
Well, look, man. I will say this about Patrick Beverley. I believe before this bubble started, he said that Damian Lillard was the toughest player for him to guard. So there's respect there. Like, I didn't expect, the antics Patrick Beverley did, like, that's expected. That's what he does. Paul George, on the other hand, look, I was at this NBA 2K release party last summer, and Dame was there, KD was there, Paul George came later. And so I'm talking with Dame and KD. And then Paul George starts to come over. And so I automatically look at Dame. And Dame spots him, but that was it. But I bring that up because that was the first time Dame has saw Paul George or spoke to Paul George since Paul George, got bounced in the first round by, that shot from Dame. And Paul at that time said, I believe it was like a lucky shot.
Yeah.
That was a lucky shot he shot. And so Dame sees Paul for the first time. Paul comes over, and I'm watching. I'm watching like I want to see this. I knew they haven't spoken, talked before. So Paul comes over, and Dame, they talk, and Paul was like, "Hey, bro, my bad, man. Like, my bad. I was in my feelings, and you know what I mean. It was just let the heat of the moment." So they talked and chatted up and kind of patched things up. But then, now what happened this past time, I don't know how Dame feels. I'm going to talk to him later in the interview today, but I don't know really how he feels about Paul right now.
Well, you had Patrick Beverley, who was falling all over the floor. He was laughing when Lillard missed the 2 free throws, and Paul George is laughing, and they're chirping there. Those 2 guys have nothing to chirp about against Damian Lillard.
Yeah, like I said, that's Patrick Beverley. He's going to do that with Harden. He does that to LeBron. You know what I mean? So I don't. Hold on, I got room service coming in, right? No house cleaning, please. Thank you. No, not right. Come back in like 30 minutes, please. Thank you. Sorry about that, DP. They come here thoroughly.
Was that Chris Mannix?
No,
that was not Mannix. Oh,
Max not cleaning my room.
Okay,
my room clean. That's not him.
But you weren't ordering food. That was somebody to clean your room.
Clean my room.
Okay.
I thought it was my food, but it was somebody coming.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll hurry up then. We're talking to Chris Haynes, the Yahoo Senior NBA Insider, NBA on TNT sideline reporter. He's got Blazers and the Mavs tomorrow on TNT. I've been talking about Luka, and at his age, I said he's better than Larry Bird at this age. Larry was still in college, so then people go, as soon as you say Larry Bird, they're like, yeah, you can't say that. Well, I have to look at what Luka's doing, just the sheer numbers. And I know he's not doing it on a big stage the way Bird did, where they were winning championships. But what Luka is doing now at 21 is everybody as impressive, if not more so, than what Bird was doing at 21 because he was still in college. How do you look at what Luka's doing in the bubble? Because it feels like a lot of guys are putting up some big numbers in the bubble. Are these true, real numbers?
No, these are true real numbers. Look, man, you can't not dismiss the production that he's given his team and what he's showing, the talent he's putting on display. And what I like about him is that he loves the hoop. I spoke to him yesterday, and he's really big on like team camaraderie. It kind of reminds me of LeBron James, how LeBron James likes to have, all of his teammates with him, on off days, just doing things together. And Luka is just a basketball junkie. And so, he loves his atmosphere. He says it's similar to, over there in Europe, the way that they would play and have teams, just at the same location. So he's loving this. And what I like about him, I was able to speak with some of the coaching staff, and it was just like, he doesn't overwhelm you with speed, quickness, athleticism, but he has a changing of pace, skill that you just can't teach a lot of young guys. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. Like you may look at him like he's slow, and he's going by some of the quickest defenders we have in this league. And the reason why he changes his speed, he's really deceptive in that. And then he has a step back that is unguardable most of the time. So he has an eye for the game, man. He is polished. I think it's a valid comparison when you talk about Larry Bird, because he was the same way. Somebody who wasn't overly quick, but just knew how to use his speed just right to get past the opponent.
And that's why when I look at Luka, when people say, well, would you rather have Luka or Zion? I said, I'm gonna bet on Luka because he's not in a race against his body. Zion is in a race against his body, and he hasn't looked in shape. And I don't know what he's going to be like in 5 years. I don't know if he is larger. He's not as explosive as he was a year ago at Duke. So I don't think it's an argument there. Luka would be by far and away who I would take. Zion might bring in more seats, more eyeballs, but now you have the Pelicans who bowed out. What do you make of their look at big picture with the Pelicans, because Lonzo was really disappointing in the bubble. But I do like that they're young, and I love Ingram there as well. But what do they need?
Well, they need Zion to stay healthy first and foremost. That's the cornerstone of that franchise, and how he goes, I think the franchise is going to go as well. With that being said, they have a decision to make with Brandon Ingram. He's a free agent this offseason. I was actually surprised Brandon came and played in this restart. He played so well during the course of the season that it was like I felt like he might be one of those guys to say, you know what, my value can't go anything but down if I go and play. But look, DP, they're excited. But look, I want to get to Zion. I want to stay on that because he's the guy when you're talking about the Pelicans, man. Like, they have to figure something out. And obviously, I think if you look at the actions of the Pelicans and how they handled Zion, either he wasn't completely healthy, but they denied that, or they really didn't value this restart. And it wasn't a main priority because they had the easiest schedule. Mm-hmm. And so most people were feeling like, the league was trying to make sure the Pelicans got in there. And the league, if the league did that or not, we don't know. But the Pelicans sure didn't take advantage of that or didn't try to take advantage of that. So that leads me to believe that they're playing a long game with him, want to make sure that he's healthy moving forward. But, if that kid, if he's not able to get it together physically, they're going to be in a heap of trouble.
Yeah, I know. Draymond Green, who's not in the bubble, was on TNT, and he was, trying to provide some headlines there. And he said the following about Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns.
Asking me about Patrick.
It's great to see Book playing well and Phoenix playing well, but get my man out of Phoenix. It's not good for him. It's not good for his career. Sorry, Chuck, but Book, they got to get Book out of Phoenix. I need my man to go somewhere where he can play great basketball all the time and win because he's that type of player.
Are you tampering?
Maybe.
Well, that cost him 50 large there. What did you make of Draymond Green?
Well, I was actually on a boat fishing when I broke that he was getting 50,000. So that's the first time I've been on a boat breaking the story. But I'll say that. I'll say, look, it's unfortunate. I understand why the league has to do that. But, he was on TNT. He was on a show where, they have personalities. And Draymond is a personality. Like, I think he's going to be great for TV for his personality and for his analysis that he provides. But that's the part of the player where, you get on those platforms and, you still aren't free. You're not free like Chuck. You're still a player.
Yeah.
You're still an active player. So that's the tough spot about being put in those roles when you're an active player. Like, you want to come out and say some of the things that you truly believe, but then you get penalized for doing so because you're active. So, I think he learned that's a hefty fine on your day off when you're in the off season. That's pretty hefty right there.
And Ernie Johnson didn't help him by saying, "Are you tampering?"
Yeah, but DP, I think what got on that fine was the fact that he said Devin Booker needs to get out of Phoenix.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was. I don't think necessarily the tee up by Ernie say, "Are you tampering?" Because I think once you're saying a player needs to get out of Phoenix, that was it.
But was Draymond correct in saying that Devin Booker needs to get
Well, now you trying to do what Ernie did.
You can't get fined for tampering.
They get fined, but I can hear it from the Suns if I say something like that. I'm in my place.
You know what? I'll pay for your room service if you if you get yelled at by the Phoenix Suns. Hey, great to see you, Chris, and have fun with the Blazers and the Mavs. Who has more points between Damian Lillard and Luka tomorrow night?
I'm going with Dame, DP.
Yeah, 40. Over under is 40 for Dame.
I'm going 40.
You'll go over? Okay. All right. Great to talk to you, Chris. Thanks for joining us as always.
Take care, my guy.
That's Chris Haynes, Yahoo Senior NBA Insider. You'll see him on the sidelines of the Mavs and the Blazers coming up tomorrow.